Welcome to the Shall We Football Podcast. I'm Ryan. My co-host AJ. Colt is at the Fantasy Football Expo hanging out with Dez Bryant. He's way too cool for us. This is AJ. We're getting into prediction season. You excited?
I am excited. Yeah, these are our bold and superfluous AFC division and wild card predictions, plus a surprise or two.
Oh yeah, we are going to throw the hanging curve, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get right into it with the AFC, or do you have other preamble?
I do. By the way, for listeners and viewers, this is Ryan's job. Last, we'll present the McCorkle Award for episode MVP. Follow us on the artist formerly known as the Twitter.
That's right.
At SWF_podcast. That's at SWF _podcast. Watch
Also
us on
find us on
Razball
yeah.
Fantasy. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you had your chance. Watch us on Razball Fantasy YouTube, and go to Razball.com to not suck at fantasy sports no mores.
I just saw that you sent the Zoom link in the same email that you sent the StreamYard link.
You don't even have it open, huh?
I did not have that open. That is correct.
Good. You
we're
want to come in now?
We're getting
I'm
there.
gonna let you into the
Zoom has to install some updates because
get out of here! Are you kidding me?
No, it's coming. It's coming.
Christmas Christ, John, Ryan, shall we football?
Shall we football? Yes, we shall football, AJ. And we shall football hard.
So we're going to go with the AFC East first, because when I open ESPN, that is always the first division. And in any publication you've ever seen, AFC East is always the first of the four divisions, right?
That is correct. Because we read right to left, obviously.
Actually, my girlfriend is Duolingoing Hebrew right now.
And she does read right to left in that, yeah.
Yeah, or left to...
No, they read backwards, right?
Well, to them, it's forwards.
Right, we read backwards.
Right, we read backwards.
That makes sense.
Well, let's leave all this to the scholars and scribes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about instead the AFC East.
Ooh, I've got one quick news and notes to talk about. It's Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw doing some shady shit to Michael Oher.
So let me stop you there. So those two gentlemen, Sandra Bullock and
Gentle People,
and the other one you said, those people are actors, and they did not. There was in that film, no Michael Ohers were harmed.
It looked like him. It looked like them in the documentary that I watched. Either way, Michael Oher suing his thought to be adopted family.
Right, and to be clear, not Sandra Bullock and the man you just described.
Their last name is very difficult to pronounce. Sandra Bullock is way easier.
That is also slander, and if this were ever transcribed, libel.
Well, if what Michael Oher alleges is true, they are true pieces of shit.
For sure. I'm. Are you surprised that this came out so late?
I am. This is like 11 years late.
I think it trickled out sometime between the release of the film many years ago and now. Sometime in between that, I know it was trickling out that not all was as it seemed, and the movie wasn't accurate. But this is some next level assholery and debauchery.
So if you haven't heard, fair listener at home, Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw, they've apparently made Michael Oher as a teenager sign a conservatorship agreement,
right,
and not adoption papers like they led him to believe.
Right.
And so
can I get you to, keep going. Okay, can I get you to pause here?
Name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, they did. Except they didn't, because again, it's not Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw. It's the real life characters that they played in the film The Blind Side.
Is it the Towhees?
I'm about done with this.
The Tawala Bears?
Yeah, I think this has run its course. I think we should.
All right,
yeah.
AFC.
But, it's crazy. I don't know why it took so long to come out. Maybe Michael Oher was like actually that damaged by this, and I mean that compassionately. I
For
have no
sure.
idea.
And that has got to be, to find out that you thought you were adopted for so many years and to find out that those people were allegedly profiting and you saw $0
Okay,
from
all
the
right.
making of
So
a film.
so that is what has come out now, is
Correct.
the behind the scenes financial aspect of this.
Yep. They made millions and you made $0.
Okay, all right. That makes a lot more sense. Maybe he was just made privy to this. I know this information is probably out there, but this is an honest in moment reaction. Like, we didn't plan this. This is
We
just,
didn't. I just had to.
yeah.
I had to bring
This
it
is
up.
just a genuine reaction to news coming out. I don't think it's that wild that we're like, oh, that sucks for Michael Oher, and these people are
Real pieces of shit.
really substandard
Yep.
human beings.
Yep.
But yeah, that's prayers to Michael Oher. I mean,
You're firmly on
hopefully,
Team Ower on the Shall We Football
yeah,
podcast.
I don't think that's a surprise to
Yeah.
anybody. But yeah, thoughts with him. Hopefully hopefully he can get
Made whole with
his
interest.
recompense.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good.
Made whole with
let's
interest. That's what I hope for.
let's make a hole in the AFC East.
All right. All right. Do you want to start? Should I start? Do we just read off our rankings and then discuss, or do we start
Yeah.
at the top?
Let's start with me, because I'm on the left side of the screen as I'm seeing it, and I
Yes.
read left to right.
You are on my left side as well. So let's go the American way.
This is good. So in the American way, the AFC East. I'm sorry if I've been saying NFC.
No, you said
I
AFC.
don't
You're
recall.
good.
Oh, good for me.
Yeah.
So the AFC East, I've got, and I have the records. Ryan doesn't. I'm just gonna read them off so you have kind of uh, a metric by which to measure teams against one another. At least in my rankings here and my predictions. So I have the Jets at 12-5, the Bills at 11-6, the Miami Dolphins at 10-7, and the New England Patriots at 6-11.
Oh,
And I'm gonna say that I have the Jets as the 3rd seed, and I have the Bills as the 7th seed, and the Dolphins do not
baby.
make the playoffs. That is
Oh,
one of my top 10 teams, the
yep.
Dolphins at number 9, not making the playoffs.
Yep.
And I was telling Ryan prior to the show that I use this playoff predictor. If you Google, NFL playoff predictor, like, the first thing comes up.
No free ads, but it's sweet.
It is. I mean, it is sweet. I don't know how we're gonna, like. I guess we're gonna have to, like, extort money, because I don't think they're gonna willingly give it up.
Can we monetize this?
We probably can't. And Bobby, I'm so sorry, Bobby.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I walk right into it. Anyway, you can predict everything by choosing winners of each game, all 18 weeks. And I did that. I went through and I was like, wow, the Dolphins didn't make the damn playoffs. But this was like game by game. This is what happens. And the Bills and the Jets are separated by one game, and then the Dolphins are separated by one game. But the AFC is so much more wildly competitive. It's not even close. The NFC is there are 5 teams that are like a lock to get in without question.
Yeah.
And then there are the rest of the teams probably shouldn't make, I'm not going to say the playoffs, but playoffs. They
Is
shouldn't
there
make
a lock
playoffs.
outside of the Chiefs in the AFC? I don't think there is.
I think you have
I have a loose definition of lock, I guess.
Yeah, well, I want to factor the Bengals in here.
I was thinking
they're my 3rd ranked team, but
yeah,
go ahead.
I was thinking Bengals would be the only other one that I would say, like, they're going to be a playoff team regardless of if Burrow's injury lasts a couple weeks into the season or not. Like, yeah, I'm comfortable with Chiefs and Bengals. Outside of that, fucking crapshoot, really.
So the thing is, and we'll get there, but the way the NFC North is stacked, it is actually the most competitive division in football?
Mediocre competitive, sure.
I
I don't
would
know. I love
just
the
say
Lions so
straight up.
much.
No, but that division is garbage. It's just
It
straight.
is. It is trash.
It's just a stinky. It's just a stinky like bucket that you move to the road every
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
That
it's
whole
bad.
division. And you know what? You know what's worse? The NFC South. We'll get there.
Yep.
We'll
Yep. We'll
get
get
there.
there
But
next week.
yeah, the North though, I have the top two teams with the same record. The third team behind by one game, and the fourth team behind by one more game. It's the only division where all four teams have a winning record. And
Oh.
these games were based, these games that the way I did this predictor, I was telling Ryan, is like there's a 10-game buffer if you are the home team. So at home, number 12 beats number 2, but they don't beat number 1 because that's an 11-game buffer. You get a 10-game buffer, and that's what selects these games for me. So it's not arbitrary. It's based on a system, and that's what this gave me is 4 teams in the AFC North with winning records,
That's so fun.
and 2 2 are kept out of the playoffs. But to go back to what we're talking about, the Bills, I'm pretty shocked that the Bills were overtaken by the Jets, because in my rankings, I have the Bills 4th and the Jets 7th, but it's
Yep.
just the way the schedule shook out.
Yeah. So that was the thing that I was going to ask, because mine goes Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. Bills and Jets making the playoffs. The Dolphins were actually a little higher in my power rankings, and I think that's, my power rankings were based on health, right? Tua stays healthy for the whole year. They have the potential to
Right.
be the 6th best team in football. I don't think that's going to happen. But how did you feel when your predictor jumped the Jets above the Bills? How surprised were you by that? And was it something that you had to kind of double take it?
So the Bills have a fairly tough schedule.
Yes.
I was pretty shocked, and like I started to play with it to be like, this doesn't seem right. This seems to be this would be something that would like make me move the number from 10, which is the
Sure.
buffer that I talked about in choosing these games one by one with my power rankings. I was like, I'm going to move it to 8. I'm going to move it to 12. Do the Bills jump? In one of the scenarios, the Bills jumped the Jets, and then everything else went fucking haywire. The rest of the divisions imploded, and I was like, I can't have the Texans in the playoff. No, it wasn't that bad, but like the rest of the divisions went haywire, and I was like, all right, this is not the answer either. And the only thing that kept the entire league in a reasonable, like in a reasonable scenario or scenarios, was the one in which the Jets overtake the Bills. It's because it's one damn game,
Sure.
and it is that can be based on scheduling, and that's what it is as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. The schedule makes a huge difference.
Jesus
And
Christ.
honestly, if that's the way the cookie crumbles this year, I'm not going to be totally shocked. My reasoning will probably be different. It's just because Josh Allen can't do fucking everything like they've asked him to do the last 2 years. He needs help elsewhere. But
Well, to me, that's why he's below both the Chiefs and the Bengals.
yeah, it is because that you said he's, and that's pretty accurate. Like,
It is literally him.
it's him. Yeah, him and Stephon Diggs. Aaron Rodgers back with Nathaniel Hackett running an offense he's comfortable with weapons he hasn't had in a long time.
Adding
Outside of
Dalvin Cook.
adding Dalvin Cook late, that's the Jets could be a scary football team. As soon as they get that ball rolling, they could be really good. So like I'm pretty content with where both of us are at here. And if I had to do records, it would probably be a one or two game spread either way for me too.
Yeah, and look, we're all talking about the Jets and their offensive line. But so Laken Tomlinson, their left guard, has at one point played very good football. Connor McGovern has before.
Yep.
Elijah Vera Tucker looked like an extremely good player after
He's
being
going
a
to
first round
be
draft pick
a monster
from USC. Yeah. Billy Turner is a serviceable player. And then, whatever they can manage to wring out of Mekhi Becton. They also have rookie Wisconsin center Joe Tippmann, who I'm super excited about, and I think he could play potentially another guard spot. And then there's Wes Schweitzer, who played with the Washington Red Hogs for a while, coming over coming to the Jets. He has a lot of starting experience, so
they
there
can
is
piece this thing together.
They can. There have been teams with worse. You know what? I'll give you
The
this.
Bills.
The fucking Bengals.
Yeah.
The Bills.
When they
Actually,
went to the Super Bowl, the
Bengals.
Bengals offensive line was trash.
Yeah. Like player for player, maybe worse.
Yeah.
Than this. So I think it's overplayed a little bit. There's a lot of especially at tackle, there is a lot of credence to nitpicking about their offensive line, but I don't think it's quite as bad.
Weaponry is all there for sure. The defense was really good last year. Sauce Gardner is not going to get worse. The Jets are going to be a really good football team, and I'm excited for that. I love watching Aaron Rodgers throw the football. He's so good.
I think one thing we haven't talked about much is the depth of that defensive line. It's stupid.
Yeah, they're stacked.
It's stupid. I mean,
the only team that may rival that is the Eagles.
I think. I mean, the Eagles have far and away the best, but
for sure. But I think the Jets are right below that.
I would say so. It may be in a small group, but definitely the next tier after the Eagles. Both of their backup ends, edge rushers, are first round. Are two first round picks from this past year and the year before in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. From Florida State and Iowa State, respectively. So, did you already say who you had? Was it the same?
I had Bills first, Jets second, and then Dolphins and Patriots. But
okay,
I'd be happy either way.
Who do you have making the playoffs from there?
Bills and Jets. I have the Jets as my number 6 seed. Okay. No. Yes, 5 seed. 5 seed.
5 seed. And then the Bills?
Bills is the 4.
4. Okay. Very good. You also don't have Miami making it.
I also don't have Miami making it, and I was actually higher on them than you were in the power rankings.
And I felt pretty uncomfortable leaving the Dolphins out of this.
I
keep telling myself that Jalen Ramsey got hurt, and I'm rocking myself in the corner. Jalen Ramsey got hurt. But I don't know if that's
here's the thing though
to bring them down.
If Tua gets hurt again, then that's enough to bring him out.
All bets are off there.
Right.
This is, like you said, we can't, nor do we want to predict injuries. No. This is kind of a special case in which if he does get hit, like this risk is almost more palpable than just about any quarterback injury potential that we've seen in our life, at least that I can remember. This is the one time where I'm like, I might actually want to take into account in the prediction process.
So
this guy could go down and it could be really bad. And that fear and that it's palpable.
If concussion had been a major talking point in the 90s, Troy Aikman would have been in that conversation. But it wasn't. They were that was still the sweep under the rug era of concussion. But I obviously don't wish an injury on Tua, but I also can't trust that he's going to be healthy. So that's why I have them where I do.
Yeah, this was also another schedule thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, this was also another scheduling thing. Again, one game separating 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 for me between the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. And this was based on a numerical system that I developed. In real life, I mean, shit, there is a scenario here, a very real scenario where the Dolphins might steal a game or two and actually come in first here. I find that difficult to believe, but I would not be awestruck
No,
if
I
that
wouldn't either.
happens. Surprised, sure, but yeah.
I wouldn't either. All right, AFC North. This is your
Let me
baby, AJ.
let me
These are
let me
your
give you
people.
this. Okay, so within the 4th seed at 12-5 is the Bengals.
Yeah,
In the 5th seed at 12-5 are the Browns.
Jesus.
Not making the playoffs at 11-6 are the Ravens. I
Gee,
have the Ravens as the 6th best team in the NFL
I almost
at
did that.
10-6.
I was
Uh,
really close to doing that too. I've changed it around.
I also have the Steelers, the 16th best team in the NFL per my rankings at 10-7.
Jesus Christ.
That is literally just how the cookie crumbled. I'm not quite sure how. The Steelers were the one team that really their record didn't match their ranking. It's a tough fucking division, man. I don't
It
know.
is.
It's
It
a
is.
tough division.
That's one thing for me is I took how hard that division is into account. My initial when I wrote it down, I had Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, and then I thought, fuck,
You switched the Ravens and the Browns.
I switched the Ravens and the Browns.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm having that urge right now to swap
because
them.
I don't trust Deshaun Watson to be the Deshaun Watson
In
from
any conceivable way,
no.
do I trust Deshaun Watson?
No, I'm keeping the fantasy team name this year. Don't rub Watson because he rubs back. Um,
Yikes.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It took me some doing to get his name into a fantasy team name that ESPN allowed me to use. But I, I I don't have any faith that Deshaun Watson's going to be the player he was when he was transcendent in Houston because I haven't seen it yet. In the 5-6 games he played last year, he was absolute horseshit. Absolute horseshit. And I have no faith that he's going to be better than horseshit right now. I do have a little faith in Lamar Jackson, and it doesn't matter my misgivings with that team. At the moment, I trust them more than I trust the Browns. The Steelers are super young, and I think they're going to be once again an above 500 football team. I don't have them winning 10 games. I think they're going to go 9-8, but it's going to be another Mike Tomlin special, and they're going to sneak in over 500, but they're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So I had like throughout the season in the predictor that I used, which each week, once you complete the week and you select all the games, it gives you an updated view of where the divisions and how the divisions are shaking out and what the playoff positions are. There was like early on, it was like the Steelers in the number 1 spot for a little while. And then it just kept going back and forth. And there was a time when the Bengals were in 3rd. It was just a wild everywhere, right? The thing is, if Deshaun Watson is serviceable, this offense is still going to do stuff.
Their offensive line's too good. Nick Chubb is too good.
Yeah. I think that Amari Cooper will go back to being Amari Cooper. There's too many weapons. You could say there's no true number 2 wide receiver. I'll tell you this, between Elijah Moore, rookies Cedric Tillman and David Bell, somebody is going to be a number 2 wide receiver. Maybe not in the upper tier of number 2 wideouts, but at least middling.
Cedric Tillman may be one of the steals of the draft for the Browns.
I'll give you that. David Bell, if he would have played for Ohio State instead of Purdue,
yeah,
he would have. I think
probably
he
been a
would
first
have.
rounder.
Oh, I think he would have started, not over some of. I think he would have been like a starting slot receiver type.
Yes,
thing.
yeah, he was great.
Even that's tough at Ohio State, but yeah, he was awesome.
Cedric Tillman though has apparently been like eye-poppingly good in camp, which is great to hear.
Also, that tracks, right?
It does track. Love camp rumors.
Right,
the Ravens.
Give me yours, sir. Top to bottom. Let's go.
Bengals. They are my 2 seed. Are the Bengals?
Okay.
Ravens are my 6 seed, and then I have the Browns, and then I have the Steelers. And I also have all 4 of these teams over 500. I would love to think. I just don't know, since the AFC is so goddamn difficult. I don't know if any. It's so hard to fathom an AFC team, multiple AFC teams going 14-3. You know, like that is so hard in that conference. Um, it may be a people beat each other up type year, and records may not be what we think they're going to be, but I think the Bengals are going to be the 2 seed. The Ravens, I don't know if they're going to do anything in the playoffs, but I think they're going to get there, and it's based on Lamar Jackson's just pure inherent talent. I still have no faith that Todd Monken's going to put together a functional NFL offense, but Lamar Jackson's going to make things happen, and John Harbaugh's too good a coach. The defense isn't wonderful. It's not the Ravens defense that we're used to, but it's still going to be serviceable.
I think that this Ravens defense is going to be elite in a different way than we're used to seeing that stifling front seven. I think that between Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Peters, and whatever they can, I guess, Rock Ya-Sin, whatever they can trot out at, at the opposite corner and nickel.
Yeah, their secondary is very good.
I think the secondary is going to, and you know what? If you have two great safeties, you can make a few mistakes.
That's true. That's very, very true.
You can make some stupid mistakes. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They were a pretty poor run defense last year, correct? Especially in the middle.
Calais Campbell had himself a year.
He did. And Calais Campbell's a difference maker, regardless of where he goes. He doesn't have the Pro Bowls to prove it, but he's been a stalwart interior defensive lineman for his entire career. But
it's not the Ravens defense of yesteryear.
No, it's absolutely not. I don't know. I think they're going to go up some points. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep pace as much as we have seen in the past, but
I disagree with you. I think they are, and I feel very uncomfortable with what the predictor has spit out for me. And I'm with you. Like, I feel compelled to move the Ravens up. You know what? I'll have a decision by the end of the NFC episode next week whether I want to switch that.
All right. The jury is out on AJ's spot for the Ravens. The record shall reflect. All right. We're going to move on to the AFC South. Maybe the worst. Oh, we've lost AJ. Okay. Maybe I will move on to the AFC South. AJ may be able to get there at some point in the future. His internet is notoriously terrible in his home in North Raleigh, North Carolina. Could be the storms that rolled through the area today. We did have some inclement weather. But that AFC South, it's a little top heavy. It's weak in the middle, and it's especially terrible at the bottom. A couple of rookie quarterbacks going. We have an announcement. We would like to introduce to the Razzball audience and reintroduce to the OG Shall We football audience our Pittsburgher in residence and biggest human resources concern, Cousin Douglas, his glorious return and his Yinzer promo of the week. Douglas, are you there, sir? He's been on hold. Did he fall asleep? Douglas is asleep on his Pittsburgh potty in his basement.
I got caught on some terrible towels. Hold on. Let me get my bib. Good day to Yins. Yins can call me Cousin Douglas. Just don't call me late for permani butter sandwiches, or I swan to John, Cheryl. I'll stuff you in one of them smart city trash bins and roll your ass right off Mount Washington. I'll drink all your iron seeds and fill them up with Monongahela water and piss, the difference of which is splitting hairs. Anywho's hole. While I'm technically AJ's cousin and live in his wall insulation, subsisting on rainwater and thoughts of coleslaw, I'd like for Yins all to think of me as your cousin in additionalities. But what do I do here? Well, my employment status is nebulous at best, and what is money anyway against the ever-encroaching and inevitable heat death of the universe? but my purpose is clear. Do promos, share general thoughts every other week, so and that, and your mom. This week, I want to talk about quarterbags, which is a portmanteau of quarterback and douchebag, or just Deshaun Watson. ESPN recently ranked the current NFL QBs in things like arm strength, accuracy, and etc. We was going to do that, but them amateurs at ESPN went and took the good categories. So, using our patented SWF resourcefulness, we comes up with a few traits that are at least mildly relevant to professional ball tossing. Let us begin. Love making. Jordan Love. He waited without making a peep for the ayahuasca to kick Aaron Rodgers off the deep end and into dark hellscape version of a Frodo Baggins house. And his last name is Love. Don't overthink it. Diaper changing. Lamar Jackson, known in-game turlet enthusiast, both has a small child and did a Baron Browning in his purple pants that one time. On the other hand, at the bottom, pun intended, is Russell Wilson, because Sierra still has to change his fucking diaper. Bonus, non-QB, littlest shoes. Kicker Kai Forbath, who has a size 10.5 foot, wears a size 7.5 shoe that he stuffs in an oven so he can jam his foot in them tiny Nikes like an unethical foot condom. Thank yous all for the opportunity to reintegrate into the Shall We Football podcast and introduce myself to the Razzball audience. In spite of my previous transgressions, I also made a Cleveland Brown in Lamar's football slacks. I rode in the locker room on one of them naked sashimi spreads, and I'm glad nobody wanted that miniature tuna roll under my belly button. Whatever. Gotta make rent somehow. Good night, Yins. Now huff my razzballs.
Cousin Douglas, everyone. The unbelievably talented, well-spoken, basically a thesaurus in and of himself. Cousin Douglas used to be a staple here on the Shall We Football podcast. We were lacking our third co-host in Mr. Colt, and then Cousin Douglas came to the rescue. AJ,
I blacked out.
Did you
I
teach
have
him
no
the
idea
word?
what just happened.
Did you teach him the word nebulous, or was that all him?
My dictionaries have been slowly disappearing from my house. Hannah's is gone. Mine is gone. They're all gone. All of my Britannicas and my Oxfords, all gone.
You really got to check your insulation, bud.
Why is that?
No worries. No reason.
Okay, I was kind of worried because you said something, but I guess
that bump in the night, it's absolutely not porter.
That's nebulous.
Oh boy. All right. Where were we? AFC South is where we're going. That was an all-timer.
Why on earth are we laughing?
That was an all-timer. All right, AFC South. AJ, give me your AFC South, please, before I make a Baron Browning in my slacks too.
So Texas's own Baron Browning. Texas is back. So in the South, as the second seed and number 10 in my power rankings, I have the 13-4 Jaguars.
I love that so
much. I mean, literally, you can go 13-4 when 6 times you play Tennessee, Indianapolis, and Houston. Yeah.
Yep.
So I have them as the second seed, and then not making the playoffs at 6-11 are the Titans, 5-12 are the Colts, and 4-13 are the Texans. The problem I have here, it's not with the 13-4 record for the Jags. I'm with that because I think they're going to finish better than 9th. I guess I just couldn't rationalize it preseason putting them there. The Titans, I'm uncomfortable with 6-11. I think
6-11 is
I think they're going to get closer to 8-9, 9-8, maybe with. By the way, big shout out to Mike Vrabel giving his assistant coach the ability to coach a preseason game. Here's the thing. I actually tweeted this at an AP writer. And because they reported the story, and I was like, this is going to do nothing for his higher ability. It's going to do nothing. No one is going to look at one preseason game and have it move the needle at all. But what it is, it's giving him exposure. This story is out there. His name is now attached to it, and it is being like, I mean, for Christ's sake, I don't remember the name, but people reading the story will at least see the name. And there will be some NFL teams that end up reading this story. Also, Mike Vrabel had a press conference where he announced this. Mike Vrabel, also awesome dude.
Yep.
He's showing that there are innovative ways to support. To support assistant coaches getting hired for big time jobs. And it's this kind of innovation that, if it were put towards things like minority hiring, these type of things. And again, I mean, you're getting into contentious territory when you're like, I'm going to let minority coaches coach preseason games and not anyone else. That
Sure.
can get a little contentious, but it's this type of innovative thinking that can leave a lasting, that can leave lasting change
Yep.
on the league and the process of of equalizing, of creating equity.
Yep. Snaps all around for Mike Vrabel for that. Awesome dude.
I know that was
And
super long-winded, but I was super excited
no,
about it.
no,
Mike
it's
Vrabel for
fabulous.
the win. Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous.
What do you
And
got?
I also agree that the Titans are going to be much better. Well, not much better. They will be better than 6-11. I have the Jaguars as my 3 seed
Nice.
behind the Bengals. So we are both incredibly high on our beloved Jacksonville Jaguars. We are huge fans of the black and teal here at the Shall We Football Podcast.
Black and teal love is real.
It is. And then Titans, Colts, and Texans. I almost flip-flopped the Colts and the Texans.
I could give two shits about that. I'm surprised you spent more than 30 seconds thinking about it.
It wasn't even 30 seconds. It was less than that.
What if Anthony Richardson is the truth from Jump Street? Scale of 1 to 10, how surprised is Ryan Brashler?
If he's the truth out of the gate, I will be stunned.
Can you please put a value on that?
Scale of 1 to 10, is that looking for here?
Yeah, 10 is bordering on
need to go to the hospital.
Surprise and medical issues.
Let's go with a 9.
Wow.
Like I will be floored. He's gonna have rookie mistakes. He's gonna have a lot of them. He had 13 starts in college. Is he physically gifted? Obviously. The most physically gifted, some will say. But he was so inconsistent at Florida. He was throwing to, what's the term? Bankers and bartenders. But
he was throwing to Keanu Reeves and the guy from Hannibal Rising, the kicker. And then also the eventual director of some Iron Man films. Jon Favreau was in there, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was the fullback from Michigan State that went to jail. No, there was a prison guard and went to jail, right?
That's the one.
What a terrific character that was.
Fabulous.
Just a terrific fucking character. And I would say, honestly, when you brought up The Blind Side, I can't stand sports movies. I'm not
a big sports movie fan.
I love Rudy and I love The Replacements. And
would you love Rudy? Would you love Rudy if it was made about like Iowa State?
You know what? If it had the same type of if it had the same allure when I was a kid, and it was based on because I kind of I related to that in terms of having to not be being
really hard.
Being gifted early and then taking it for granted and having to claw back and sometimes not being successful at it at all in to different degrees. So that resonated with me. The answer obviously is probably not, though.
Yeah.
I think I would have watched it, enjoyed it, but it wouldn't be like one of the small handful of sports movies. Here's the other thing. I won't watch, like, if I see Rudy come on TV, not watching it. That is an emotional investment.
It is. That's true.
I am not prepared to make on a whim. The Replacements, I could watch that anytime.
For sure. Our good friend of the show, friend of the program, Jonathan Husky in Tulsa, is very upset with me that I actively don't like Rudy.
Oh, you actively don't like Rudy?
I just don't.
That's weird and sad. I don't think we need to stay here anymore.
It's fine.
Let's go.
Jaguars are going to be really good. Everybody else is going to be really bad.
Right. So real quick, what are the Titans? What's the Titans ceiling for you?
Yeah. Ceiling floor. I like that too. Titans ceiling.
I'm not interested in the other three teams. I'm only interested in the Titans ceiling.
Titans ceiling's probably 10 wins. And that's if everything goes right. Titans floor is right where you had them at 6 wins, probably. Yeah.
And
if Ryan Tannehill goes down and Malik Willis has to play meaningful snaps.
What about Will Levis? What about William?
I didn't see any of Will Levis in the preseason game because it's a preseason game and I just didn't care. But he's still a rookie too, and he made a shitload of mistakes at Kentucky. I like Will Levis a lot, and I think his potential to be a professional quarterback is probably a little higher than Malik Willis.
I would say also his potential to be a professional bodybuilder or strongman, ESPN strongman.
Yes,
probably higher than Malik Willis.
Yeah, and professional banana eater.
Does he chug nanners
with the peels on? Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, that's how he got his name out there. He did that, and he put like mayonnaise in his coffee. Like, he's a weird dude.
Hey, listen, Will. Can I call you Will? I saw that video of you just swallowing handfuls of full-size bananas, and we would like to offer you a full ride scholarship to Pennsylvania State University.
He accepted that and then decided to re-accept it at Kentucky.
Yeah, well, he did never actually get the starting gig at Penn State.
He did not.
By the way, Sean Clifford did.
Did you see Sean Clifford's stat line in Green Bay's?
Buddy, I almost talked about how much, or let me say how little I care about preseason NFL football. This is probably, if we get comments, this is probably going to do me to a fair amount of finger pointing and poking.
Oh, buddy, I'm right there.
Potentially some mean comments.
I could not care less.
Okay, but give me the stat line.
I have to look it up.
Oh, Christ. For real?
One of my favorite things, one of my favorite things about the preseason is logging on to ESPN, and on the home page, the headline was literally Anthony Richardson almost throws a touchdown pass in his first preseason game. It was great. It was absolutely great. I loved every second of that.
Do you see what it is? Was it like that he overthrew someone just by a smidge, or
no? I think it was a drop
up the field. Okay.
No, I think it was a drop in the end zone from what I read elsewhere. I did not seek it out because I'm not that ill in the brain at this point. For some reason, my eyes are not letting me see. There it is, Green Bay.
Yeah, you need that dual monitor.
My glasses are definitely not big enough to see Green Bay.
Your glasses are gigantic. For those listening, his glasses are like the size of car windshields.
I paid actual American dollars for these glasses, and I really enjoy them. They actually help me see good.
Those glasses would fit on Hunter S. Thompson.
100%, yeah. You ready for this? It's 20 of 26 for 208 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks.
2 picks? 20
Yeah.
of 26 and
Yeah.
2 picks.
Yeah.
I guess, I guess when you fuck up, you really,
Really fuck up.
yeah, you really fuck up.
Go big or go home, baby.
Go big or go home. I guess so. Sean
All right.
Clifford doing it big.
AFC West.
I can't believe we're already here.
I know.
So this is what makes me the most uncomfortable. Okay, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs, and it has to do with the Ravens being left out of the playoffs, right?
Okay.
I'll say this. I said makes me uncomfortable. The thing that makes me the most uncomfortable is what I talked about, the Browns being in over
And the Ravens not.
the Ravens. But I had the Browns at 12-5, or the predictor had the Browns at 12-5. That's not the next team that would be knocked out, because I had the Browns at the 5th seed, which I hate dramatically.
Sure.
At the 6th seed, the Chiefs are 14-3 and they're the number 1 seed. At the 6th seed, even above the 7th seed Bills, is the Los Angeles Chargers at 11-6. That makes me pretty uncomfortable that they're ahead of the Bills. Like, if I were to rank these teams, I would be like, okay, so it's Kansas City, Buffalo, or Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Baltimore, the Jets. And this is how anyway, that's the order I have them in.
On the
in
power
my
rankings, yeah.
in my power rankings. The Chargers are 11th for me. I keep wanting to say Clippers because I made that joke last week.
You did. It's a good joke, though.
Yeah, it was a great joke. It really, we have no idea if these land.
100% landed.
We have no idea. Anyway, the Chargers at 11-6. The fact that there's some technicality that, because the Ravens I also have at 11-6. There's some technicality that had the Bills and the Chargers get in at 11-6 over the Ravens. Those things could switch based on the scenarios and who each team beats outside of head-to-head games and all that jazz, right?
Yeah.
If I had to, between the 3 teams that were 11-6, which I had the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chargers, I would, without question, leave out the Chargers. If just straight up, I would absolutely leave the Chargers out. But as it were, I have the Chargers as the 6th seed getting in as the wild card, and some of that is due to having to play, whereas the Ravens have to play the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. Outside of the Chiefs, the Chargers get to play the Broncos and the Raiders.
Yeah.
In 3rd, I have the 8-9 Broncos, and in last, I have the 5-12 Raiders.
Okay. 8-9 Broncos. That's a market improvement from last year.
It is. I don't think that this team, I cannot fathom them. Let me put it this way. They're going to improve.
They have to.
In order to avoid a double negative, I will say that they have to improve.
I don't think they can get worse.
I think they could. I think they can get worse.
Dude, they were bad.
If they're just as bad as they were last year, or only a little bit better, I would say overall, your net is worse.
True, I agree.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Go. What do you got?
I got Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. Chiefs my 1 seed. I had the Chargers as my 7 seed. So kind of sneaking in there. Then Broncos, Raiders. But I want the Chargers to be good. I've always wanted the Chargers to be good. I think, like, deep down in my soul, I've always wanted the Chargers. I just love the powder blues. I did
That's great.
I love it so much.
Great.
And I really enjoy Justin Herbert. I think I said it last week or the week before. There's a throw or two I remember every year, and his throw with no ribs left at the beginning of last season will stick with me forever.
Yeah.
I want them to be good, and I don't think Brandon Staley's going to let them be as good as they can be.
Right. I know that is a huge gripe for you, is the
It
fact
is.
that he is the epitome of
Dumbest smart guy in the room.
the dumbest smart guy in the room, who is also young and potentially overconfident in their intelligence, coupled, however, with a lack of experience.
Lack of experience and humility. Yes.
Those are your words. Those are, I mean, and you have repeated those words time and time again.
At least I'm consistent.
I love that.
Yeah.
So looking at the Chargers, the way that their team is constructed, first of all, something needs to go down where this team isn't entirely, like, at least half of your original starting 22 are, like, stay off the injured list. Like,
Correct.
that's how it starts, right?
Have they hired new veterinarians?
I thought I heard that I thought I heard that they brought in some specialty vets, some exotic animal vets
from the fancy hospital.
from the fancy hospital down the street.
They work on the alligators and the guinea pigs.
That's tough skin they got to get through.
Yeah, that's right.
They ain't afraid. They ain't afraid to stab and jab.
Really get in there.
Yeah. So for their offensive line, let's set aside the fact that these guys are always perpetually injured, and
yes,
the stories of Charger injuries, like the depth and the quantity and the unfortunate quality of these injuries. Put it aside.
Yep.
The problems that they have are in the front three. Sebastian Joseph Day is the best player amongst their the first line of defense, and that's not a great way to be. He's a solid player, but then they've got Morgan Fox and Austin Johnson. Austin Johnson came over from Tennessee. They need more quality athletes on that front three, because they run a 3-4. They need more quality athletes, and they need Kenneth Murray to be more like a first round pick, which he was.
Yep.
The concerning thing here is
Kenneth Murray is on like all body team. Like, he looks the part for sure.
Absolutely. And when he was drafted, I said too early, but I remember watching him at Oklahoma, and he stuck out like a sore thumb. He
jumped off the screen for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were, this is on a Sooners team defense that was just fucking
so
awful.
Bad,
so awful. So it wasn't too hard to stand out, but boy, did he stand out. He was very good. Here's the other thing, and this is a little bit from experience. Their starting free safety is Alohi Gilman, who started at Notre Dame. Alohi Gilman is a Naval Academy transfer. So your starting safety played for Navy. And the only reason his bio doesn't say he played at Navy is because he played at Notre Dame his last year. That's who your starting free safety is. Now, if you can get Derwin James to stay healthy as your strong safety, you can make up for that, I'm sure. Plus, having Asante Samuel Jr., J.C. Jackson, and Michael Davis rotating and coming in as your three corner spots, it can also help mitigate that. Plus, we know what they've got coming off the edge, right? Yeah. It's irritating how much, like, they have star power on this defense. They just need to stay fucking healthy.
Yep.
And then that offensive line, they still haven't solved right tackle. Jamari Salyer, the right guard from Georgia, he played pretty well. Zion Johnson needs to stay the fuck healthy.
Yep.
And he needs to improve. And so does Rashawn Slater.
Same with Slater, yeah.
Well, I mean, improve. That guy he's
great,
stud,
but stay healthy.
Stay healthy. And then Corey Lindsey, there's the whole offensive line. It's so irritating because, look, they have 2 first round picks in Keenan Allen as wide receivers.
Yep.
And then Austin Eckler and Gerald Everett. Like,
that's studs.
It is infuriating.
Yep, it's studs, and they're just soft in the middle.
Yeah, if they stay healthy, they might not even be. I don't think
True.
that's the order those words should be in. They might not be if they stay healthy.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
The words were in the wrong order, and I'm excited to see this team progress throughout the season. Um, just dependent on how healthy they can be.
So the next thing is so I just don't give a shit about the Raiders. Straight up.
Not
Just
even a little bit.
don't give a flying fuck
Unless
about the Las Vegas Raiders. Unless what?
Aiden O'Connell is chucking the ball.
Okay, all right. I'm. You know what? You can enjoy that. I'm still not fucking.
I'll watch
it.
a little Aiden O'Connell once.
You'll watch a little bit. You're a sadist. The
I
team
am.
I do want to talk about, though, and also I don't want to talk about the Chiefs. We all know what's going on.
We know what that is. Yeah.
So I talked about the Titans. So I'll put these three teams in the same category. And maybe you could throw the Steelers in there.
Okay.
The Patriots, the Steelers, I'll even say the Titans and the Broncos.
Okay.
All in roughly the same category for me. The Patriots, because they're coached by who they're coached by.
Yeah.
Now they signed Zeke Elliott, for better or worse. I mean, it doesn't matter because they have Ramondre Stevenson. They were going to run the ball anyway, whether Elliott was there or not.
Yep.
The two things potentially holding back the Patriots are the quarterback and the wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially. I still think McCorkle Jones is that dude.
I don't think he's that dude. I think he's
to some extent.
I think he's serviceable.
I think he can be the guy.
Okay.
For them. I think he can be the guy. That dude, you're right, too strong. Can he be the guy in New England? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he can be serviceable to a little better than serviceable.
I think he can be better than serviceable. Not by a ton, but I think he could be I think he could win himself like half a decade, probably like half a decade in New England, something along those lines.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, that's
so.
reasonable.
Maybe a little more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by a little more. I like McCorkle Jones is my point. That their defense statistically and by the eye test was really fucking good, and they have reloaded.
Yep. Matthew Judon's still there, still a monster.
Yeah, Josh Uche. If you haven't seen what his advanced stats are for pass rushing, you should get on that because he's like 6'220" or whatever, he can ball. He's one of those. I mean, he fits what they do in New England in terms of just moving guys seemingly incoherently around the field and then having them attack from anywhere, a la, like, I don't know, Dick LeBeau kind of thing. Anyway, I've got them in there along with the Steelers because also quarterback problems.
Sure.
And I'm not going to get into that probably at length. The Titans, we've talked about earlier. They're probably at the low end of this group. And then the other team also on the low end is the Broncos. I put them here because I feel like the three top teams in the East and the North are going to be good. The top team in the South is going to be good. The top two teams in the West going to be good.
Sure.
I also know that the Colts, the Texans, and the Raiders are going to stink.
Yep.
These four teams are, to some degree, nebulous.
Word of the day.
Their potential is nebulous. So I want to talk about the ceiling and the floor again.
Yes.
Go ahead before you do that. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, is that their spectrum of where they could wind up is the widest, for sure. Yeah. Like you could go, they could act. All of these teams could be fucking terrible, and all of these teams could be pretty good.
So real quick, let's end on this. And frankly, I don't think we need to go back over everything. I think it was pretty well taken care of. I think we were both pretty clear.
Yeah. Ceiling floor for those 4.
Well, no, ceiling floor for the Broncos. That's all I need from you. And
Okay.
I'm probably going to have us go over our seating again, but I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
from you last thing for them, for the folks, is the Broncos. What is their ceiling? What is their floor? I have them at 8 and 9, finishing third. I know you have them finishing third.
Yep.
In my rankings, I believe they are 19th. Yeah, they are 19th. I'm not sure where you have them.
I would have to double check, but it's around there.
It's around there is what I was probably what I was getting at. It's probably around
It's
there.
between that 16 and 20 range where they were just kind of throw-ins basically. But so floor for the Broncos, did they finish 3 and 14 or 4 and 13 last year?
They were
bad.
They were 5 and 12 last year.
Okay. So that's probably their floor, is another 5 and 12 year. That is absolute worst that can happen with Sean Payton in there. I think their ceiling is probably 10 wins. 10 and 7 is their ceiling.
Okay.
And I think
what is their floor?
5 and 12 is their floor.
Okay.
Maybe even 6 and 11. I think Sean Payton is going to have some effect. It's how much can Russell Wilson win that locker room back?
So I agree. I'll say this. I think that if Russell Wilson doesn't win the locker room back, I think Sean Payton will have the locker room. I think if Russell Wilson doesn't manage to win them back, that we're looking at a team that very well may be trading. Well, they probably can't trade up, but drafting a quarterback next year.
Are you
like, if he can't win that locker room, they're going to be bad.
Sure.
And I don't think Sean Payton is going to stand for that. And he's like, this isn't our dude. Let's get our guy.
Are you comfortable with a 7-win Jared Stidham led team?
Am I comfortable with it? No, that would keep me up during the night times. No, yeah, I would love to see. I wouldn't watch the games, God forbid, but I would love to read Jared Stidham almost throws a touchdown at the headline on ESPN's front page.
Oh, yeah. I think with Sean Payton and I believe with his success in the NFL, long term, obviously, won a Super Bowl, whatever, yada yada yada. They could probably win 7 or 8 games with Jared Stidham.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd probably veer closer towards 7, but yeah, I get your point. I also think that because of Mike McGlinchey, they're going to run the ball better. Also, because of Mike McGlinchey, they're going to have a few more false start penalties, which was his specialty in college at Notre Dame, was destroying grown men and also moving when he was not supposed to be moving.
He was too excited to destroy grown men. That was the problem.
Yeah, he was. I mean, and he also had Sir Quentin Nelson next to him, so
he did.
They were able to throw gentlemen back into the stands. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Let's go over our. I'm going to go over mine real quick. My division winners are the Jets, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Chiefs, and then the wild cards are the Bills, the Browns, and the Chargers. And my seeding is 1 Kansas City, 2 Jacksonville, 3 New York Jets, 4 the Cincinnati Bengals, 5 the Browns, 6 the Chargers, and 7 the Bills. Not comfortable with this at all.
The Browns are the asterisks, though. You make sure you put an asterisk down, and we'll revisit that next week.
Yeah.
If we remember. I mean, that's a pretty good.
I'll remember, because I really don't want to look like an idiot when the Browns not only don't make the playoffs, but like just suck shit.
When they go 6 and 11.
Yeah. So I'll remember. Go on.
Yeah. Mine are Chiefs as my 1 seed, winners of the West, Bengals at 2, winners of the North, The South, the Jaguars at 3, the East, the Bills at 4, the Jets at 5, first wild card, Ravens at 6, and Chargers at 7.
Love it. Love it. Hey, bud, this is the pronunciation game. You know it well. These are things my old roommate, your former tenant, our beloved Jewish matchmaking star of the Netflix series,
Handsome
Jewish
boy.
Matchmaking, and handsome gentleman, Evan Carmison. These are things I assume he can't say. We haven't tested these.
These are tough
on him. Yeah, these are rough, my man. But we assume based on his prior relationship with difficult to pronounce names and words and not so difficult to pronounce names and words that he would struggle with these. This is the Indianapolis Colts edition rosters as of, well, today, because I made this about 2.5 hours ago.
Beautiful.
The first is a rookie this year, edge rusher out of Northwestern. What be he name?
He named Adida Miwa Adibawore.
Eddie Tomiwa Ad Ibare. I think I'll give that to you.
Wow.
I honestly don't remember what you said, but it was probably pretty good, pretty close, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll take the win.
Yeah. I'll give you half points
today
because you don't seem very confident about it. Okay, very good. So the next is an edge rusher out of Vanderbilt, coached by former defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, Clark Lee.
Vandy's on the up and coming too, with their new stadium being built. It looks like a high school field. It's Timidayo Odeyingbo.
Nailed it.
I got Timidayo at least.
Yeah, you nailed the first part. Well, I'm clearly not really listening to this. So I'll give you some more half points.
I'll take a full point total now.
Yeah. Next one is a linebacker from Alabama. God, that's not right. I forgot to change that. He's from a place. His real name is Sam. His listed name is Samson. He's a linebacker that did go to college. I'm pretty sure. What is his
Samson Ibukum?
Well,
Namaka Ibukum.
So it is Innam Aka. The emphasis is on the first two syllables.
Inamaka.
Ebukam. So you
got
the last. You got Ebukam. I don't think you were ever going to get this first name though.
No, that was tough.
So I'll say this: half points.
Take half points, baby. 1.5.
So you're rocking 50%. But if you get this one, I'll give you 1,000%. What do you got?
John Christian Kaimi Neko Mecca Kapua Fairbairn.
Nailed it. Congratulations. Tonight's winning the McCork Award. It's the Fantasy Football Expo. Thank you for having our sweet son, Coulter Snody. We should know this.
I think it's Snody.
Yeah.
Snody sounds like he has a cold.
It does, so it's Snody. It's Snody because he doesn't have a cold.
Yeah.
He's very beautiful. He was the most handsome man there, and he tore shit up in the flag football tourney, coming within one interception that his quarterback threw, god damn it, of going head-to-head with Dez Bryant in the championship game. Colt, as far as I know, made 2 touchdown grabs.
Yep.
I found one on the Twitter machine. Well, the artist formerly known as the Twitter machine.
Correct.
Now the X machine, which sounds filthy, right?
It does.
Last week's winner was Ciara's Uterus. Ryan, take us home, bud.
Sierra's Uterus is always a winner on this show. Thanks for listening to the Shall We Football Podcast. Please subscribe to our responsibly sourced program on any podcast platform and Fantasy Football by Razball, where our humble podcast can now also be found. And then subscribe to the Razball Fantasy YouTube channel for video versions of our program.
And other great programs.
And other great programs. Follow them on the artist formerly known as Twitter as well. At Razball, Colts writing.
Also, real quick before you go on, it's at Razball NFL as well. I forgot to add that in. It's a new account. And
at Razball NFL.
Indeed.
At Rasball NFL. Colt's also writing fantasy articles. Check those out. Give him the clicks, and they will give him the money, along with links to our program at football.rasball.com. Follow us on the artist formerly known as Twitter at SWF_podcast. That's at SWF_podcast. AJ, today, August 15th, 2023, marks 5,001 days since Texas last won a Big 12 championship in football. Oklahoma's won 8 in that span. In total, 5 Big 12 teams have won Big 12 titles in the sport of football. Texas has 5 losing seasons during its last 5,001 days, and 1 season with 10, maybe 2, starting this year because Texas is back.